Thank you for those who shared their expectations. We can kick off the session. Okay, I'd like to greet you all. Buna for people from Romania, Assalamu alaikum for Egyptians, and Namaste for Indians. And back to our common language. Good morning, everyone. I will be with you in this session. I'll start with a quick introduction of myself. For those who didn't attend the previous sessions before, I'm working as a technical delivery manager from Voice Egypt. I guess all of us are working with Vodafone UK. I'm working on technical delivery management, which includes project management and part of product management. Before that, I was working at Startups Without Borders. It's a company based in the United Kingdom. We had clients like Meta, Google, GoDaddy, United Nations offices, and programs running in the MENA region. Before that, I was working with another company. It was called the Global Innovation and Entrepreneurship. It was based in the United Arab Emirates. We were also managing projects running on Africa and Middle East. We had 9 Arab countries and 7 African countries. Some of the projects were Arab IoT and AI Challenge, Africa IoT AI Challenge, Global Conference on Artificial Intelligence and the Internet of Things. It was all related to technology and entrepreneurship. And next to this, I work in the training field since 2015. I have till now 29 recorded courses on 10 websites, including Coursera. I guess this will be very popular for all of us. And the other platforms are Egyptian platforms, very well known ones here in Egypt, like Yanfa and Amel Business. I also deliver trainings to universities and institutes. So I deliver training with places like the Arab Academy and Zuwail City for Science and Technology. So this is a quick overview of what I do. Today we will be continuing on what we discussed last time. For those who didn't attend the previous module or the previous session, which was called Project Management Foundations, we will be going on a quick recap for just 10 minutes maximum or less than 10 minutes. So let's start by the project definition. So the definition of any project is that it is temporary and unique. Projects are not similar to businesses or ideas, investment ideas or startups. Startups are created or are launched to last. Unlike projects, they are limited to time boxes or time limits. So each company or each business has multiple projects inside. These projects can be business projects or products they are delivering to their customers. It can be projects in the marketing field. It can be projects in the technology field. In any field, we have projects that have limited time span. This time span can be years, but still, before we start, we know when to stop or we know when to end this project. And each project, even if they are similar, they are unique in some sense. How? Because projects have different attributes or different variables. The team that is working on the project, the time of the year we're working on this project, if we have Christmas Eve or something, or we have any occasions that will make the schedule extend for some time, if we have a limited budget or a different budget than the project we did before. So each project is unique in terms of its attributes, its variables, its inputs and outputs. Even if they are doing the same, you're having the same product and delivering it to different customers or to different clients for Vodafone, for example. Each time you will implement this solution or work on this solution, you will be facing new challenges. And this is one of the perks of working as a project manager. You don't get bored because you're having new challenges all the time. So this was the definition of the project. And we also explored how this is different from the operations work. So operations are repeated by nature. They are repetitive. And what we do today is what we will do tomorrow, is what we will be doing next week. We're doing the same thing. We're delivering the same outcome every time. Anything you do today is what you will be doing tomorrow. Unlike projects, you will be doing a project today for process enhancement or process improvement. Tomorrow, you're doing a project for capacity building for the team. After tomorrow, you're working on R&D project, research and development, and so on. So the projects will be terminated upon the achievement of their objectives. Unlike operations, they are up and running all the time. We mentioned here an example of a factory. If you'd like to launch a new product from a factory for food and beverages, for example, you Pepsi or Pepsi are launching a new product or a new size of their can or bottle, they will be producing this for the mass market. So the project of the research and development to find the best taste or the best size or the best price for this new Coca can, this is a project. And then the project for the engineering team who will make the machines that will be creating this product at the end. So this line of business, this is a project they will be creating, and then the marketing team will be promoting this tool and so on. So these are all projects. And then when we pass this to the operations team, they will be delivering like 2,000 cartoons or 2,000 boxes of the new size can and distributing it to all distributors or retailers. They will be doing this every day. This is their operations work, which is repeated, unlike our nature in the project management. One other point here we mentioned is that the project manager is like the maestro. You don't have to have extensive knowledge or experience for everything the team is doing. Like this maestro, he can't work on all these musical instruments. He might be working on one of them. He has experience in working on one of these instruments. However, he cannot do the whole work himself alone, but he can direct the whole team. And this is one of the advantages of the project management field. It doesn't require a specific educational background. We have people from different backgrounds, engineering, science, architecture, literature, everything you can expect. This is okay with us in the project management field. I will move forward with the project management life cycle, and this is what we will start with the project management in action, this part of the module. But before we go forward, I'd like to highlight that anyone who has any questions at any time, please raise your hand or open your mic and shoot me the question right away. Don't wait till I ask for questions or I give time for questions. Stop me at any time. I don't like your question to be forgotten or something. You can ask me at any time. Anyone has any questions so far?
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. We can proceed. So the project management life cycle starts with the scope definition. We need to know what we will be working on. So this is called requirements gathering, and sometimes we call it requirements elicitation. It's not just gathering, because gathering means the requirement is here and here and here, and then we just collect them. Sometimes your client is not aware of their need. They don't know what they need. They have a vision or they have an objective, a generic objective, but the exact requirements, you need to elicit this from them, like, interrogate them like a police officer interrogating someone who did a crime or something. You need to ask them multiple questions to get the exact requirements. For example, at Vodafone, we get a client who has like a restaurant or a series of restaurants, and he comes to us and says, okay, I would like to make digital transformation for my restaurant. Okay, digital transformation is a very big and very wide terminology. What exactly would you like to have in this? So we have to ask, would you like to digitalize your process of food ordering, or you'd like to digitalize your personal or managing your team, or you'd like to implement a CCTV system or surveillance system? We want to have exact requirements so that we can work on. So this is the first item or the first step in the project management life cycle. After we get the requirements, we work on analyzing these requirements and put a plan on how to execute these activities or these requirements. After we set the plan, we pull up our sleeves and get into the work and execute the plan we set. During the whole work, we are working on monitoring and controlling. Control the whole work. Controlling, you can replace the word control in the business context and put another word. Instead of control, here we say compare. Role can be replaced with compare, because we compare two things here. We compare the plan with the actual outcome. So are we following the plan we set from the beginning? Are we following the plan that uh, by this time we will be delivering this deliverable or achieving this goal? So controlling is very major for our projects, and this is one of the areas we ask about a lot in the interviews. If you are interviewing for a project management position internally in Vodafone or externally to another company, one of the questions I ask in the interview, I would say, how do you control your project? I would like to see how you make sure that you're following the plan. And control here mainly checks 2 points: the schedule and the cost. These are the two main aspects in any project, along with other aspects, but these are the major ones. And we'll talk about how we manage this in a later slide. But this is an overview of what you do as a project manager in action. And at the end, you deliver your project and close the project. You deliver all the deliverables. All these deliverables are sent to the business team or the client so that you can get their sign off and get your first payment or first check or something, so that you can release all the team members can go back to their functions or functional managers or line managers, and then they can be reassigned to other projects later on. So this is the nature of the project. It's temporary, unique. It delivers exact deliverables as per the requirements we get from the client. We have two approaches in these requirements or in these flows. One approach, it is called the traditional approach or the waterfall approach. It's like a waterfall, like this photo. The requirements are collected or are gathered or are elicited in the initiating phase, and then we plan them or design or analyze them in the planning phase, and then we execute them, and then we close the project. And monitoring and controlling is throughout the whole process. It is called waterfall because it is going downward only. We can't go upward. So we collect all requirements once for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then we plan them in a month, and then we execute them in 7 months, and then we close the project in 2 weeks. This is called the traditional approach, because the new approach is the agile approach, which makes this process in shorter sprints. We have a sprint for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So we collect the requirements, we plan them, we execute, and we close in 2 or 3 weeks. And then we get to know further requirements or further user stories or features to work on them, and so on, and repeat this multiple times. So this is the nature of the agile project management, which will be our topic of discussion next month. But for this month, we're talking about the traditional approach, which is not something bad. No shame in saying that you are working on waterfall. Vodafone is working with waterfall, agile, and hybrid between both of them. So it's okay, fully okay to say you're working with a traditional approach or the waterfall approach. No shame in this, because some people, when they say it is traditional, so they think, okay, this is something bad. We don't have to mention this. Let's avoid mentioning we're following the waterfall approach. No, not at all. What we do in each stage is that let's quickly go through this. We check the scope deliverables in the initiating phase, and we check the stakeholders identification. We need to know who are our stakeholders, whom to ask for anything we will be following up on, who will be doing what, the internal team, the team from the client side, if there are any domains we need to integrate with, any departments, any teams, we need to get their approvals, their waivers, their sign-offs, or anything related to our project. So this is what we do during the first phase, or the initiating phase. After that, we go to the planning phase. But before we go to the planning, we need to get some points or some questions to be answered. So we start by, why are we starting this project? This is the scope definition, or the purpose or the objective of the project. What are the exact deliverables and milestones we need to follow? Because these questions can direct our plan, can direct our resources, that can direct our decisions in multiple aspects of the project. And we also check any events that we need to consider. Do we have to deliver this project before a certain day, or before a certain event, or a certain conference we will be announcing this in? Is the company participating in a mega event in another country or something that we need to present this work in? And we also ask about our KPIs, key performance indicators, because this is how we will be evaluated, and how our project will be deemed to success or deemed to failure. And we ask about the stakeholders. We also take care of how much can we spend for this project? What is the budget? Because this is a constraint for us. This is a limit. We can't exceed this budget. If there is any knowledge base for the organization process assets or standard operating procedures, any lessons learned from other projects, in order to forget about the past issues, and we can make new issues, but don't repeat the previous issues, don't repeat the previous problems. Learn from what we did before, and then you can create new problems to document them in the lessons learned register for other projects coming forward. And then we discuss initially what are the risks for this project. So we discussed in the previous module the difference between risks and issues. Can anyone remind me of this? What is the difference between risks and issues?
Yeah, we did actually.
Yeah, can you remind us what is the difference?
Yeah, sure. So mainly risk is something that hasn't happened yet. It's something like may occur, but the issue, it's something that, yeah, that is already happened or occurred, and we are facing it at the moment. And also, you were explaining about the importance of being prepared, or getting ready, or anticipating the risk in order to be able to face it, or to have it as a challenge or not. And also, we were talking about that the risk has like a proactive behavior, but the issue has reactive behavior.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bas.
Welcome.
Anyone would like to add anything to what Basma mentioned?
We also said that the risk could be positive or negative. However, the issue is usually a negative thing. Yani it's something that that we have to deal with and solve. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Marwan. Okay, so these are mainly the two items we discussed about the difference between risks and issues. Let me get this slide. What can you see now? Can you see all the slides or one single slide?
One thing
One,
slide.
Just
the
one.
initiating one.
Yeah, perfect. So this is the difference between the risks and issues, as Basma and Marwan mentioned. So the risk may or may not occur. We call it is an uncertain event. It's uncertain. It can happen or cannot. But the issues is something that happened already, and it is always negative to have an issue. It's called an issue because it's a crisis. It's something bad. However, the risk, by definition, it's uncertain event, so it can be positive or negative. If it is negative, so we call it threat. If it is positive, we call it opportunity. And since both of them are uncertain events, we try to decrease the probability of having this risk or having this negative risk or threat, and we try to increase the probability for this opportunity to happen. So this is one major difference between risks and issues. So risk management, we call it is preventive approach or proactive approach. So we plan for these things before they happen. Unlike issues, they are reactive. Issues management is reactive or corrective. We correct what went wrong. So this is part of your duties as a project manager. You need to think of risk management, and you need to be aware of everything that might happen in your project. But believe me, no matter how much time you invest in this field, you get bombarded with new risks or new issues going along the project. But we try our best anyways. One other thing we need to discuss here is the prerequisites or dependencies. If there are anything we need to finalize before this project can start. Some projects are interrelated or dependable. They are depending on each other. So do I have to wait for a certain regulation to be approved? Do I have to wait for a certain technology to be tested and verified before we can implement our solution? Do we have to wait for a certain contract to be signed between the company and the client? Do we have to wait for a certain law to be approved by the constitution or approved by the law council in our country for something to be legal to work on? So these are prerequisites or dependencies we need to attend for. We collect all of this in something called the project charter. So this is a mini version of the contract. We have the contract is between Vodafone and the client, but the charter is between the team and each member in the team, and also with the client to agree on the scope and the main items we will be working on. So this charter is very simple. It answers all the questions we mentioned earlier. So what is the project purpose? For example, digital transformation for the hotel series we will be having. What is the exact scope? We need to have a surveillance system or online ordering, or we need to have something related to home automation or apartment automation or something. So this is our scope and what is out of scope. If we have any requirements from our side as Vodafone or from the client side, and then we discuss the initial risks before we go deeply in the risk management side. And we discuss the constraints, if there are any constraints in terms of budget, in terms of schedule, in terms of number of resources, in terms of the available hours we can work on. Sometimes you can't work in the day time. You have only to work in the night shift. Sometimes you have to wait for very late hours because this is the downtime for the service or something. If we are fixing something related to the networks or the customer service, we wait till after the midnight because this is the time when there are low capacity or low traffic on the network usage or something. People are asleep, so we make use of this time. So this is a constraint we can add in this project charter as a something we can plan for. If there are any assumptions we agreed upon, anything we assumed that will be ready, anything we assume that the client will provide, we add this here. Like for example, we said that the client will revert within a week for feedback and approval. So this is an assumption or an agreement we made with the client. If the client didn't abide by this, he or she can't blame us for any delays in the project because we agreed with you on this. You didn't follow what we agreed upon. And lastly is the dependencies part. If there are anything that needs to be done first before we start our project, if there is any governmental approval, any license we need to pursue, anything we have to have before we start the project, this is called a dependency. And then we put a rough time and budget, or timeline and budget for the project before we go in more depth in the schedule management and cost management, which will come in a bit during this session. And if we have any success criteria, mainly the success criteria is related to finishing on time, on budget, with the quality we agreed upon. And if there is any extra mile we can pursue, or anything we can add. So this is added as the success criteria, and we sign this or we approve in this at the end. By this issuing, or when we issue the project charter, this is the birth certificate for our project. Here we end the initiation phase and we start the planning phase, which takes all what we mentioned in this initiation phase and plans it with more details or more exhaustive information to be ready for anything we can face during the project implementation. So in the planning, we work on something called WBS, work breakdown structure. This is one of the main terminologies you need to be to know it by heart. In any interview related to project management, you have to mention the WBS. Anything you get asked about, okay, we have this as part of the WBS. How do you follow up on the progress of your project? Okay, we use the WBS. How do you assign your resources? We have the WBS. So the WBS is something major for any project, because it is what we do to start working on the project. We have the scope, but we can't do the whole scope at once, like this photo. We can pull this big scope at once, but we can subdivide it to manageable components and assign each component to a team or a team member. And then we follow up on them regularly to make sure that we're following the plan, or we're doing what we need to do, or we're finishing the tasks we need to finish. So this is the WBS. And in the next session, next month, we will be talking about the backlog or product backlog. This is what we use in Agile management. It is different from the WBS, but this is where we put all the work we need to finish. So the WBS is very simple. It can be an Excel sheet. It can be done through Microsoft Project, Primavera, any project management software you're using. This is how it looks. We have here the task title. We have all the tasks we're working on, and the task owner, because the ownership of everybody is the ownership of nobody. So we have to assign a certain task owner for each task. If we don't know the exact task owner for now, we can assign to a team. And then we discuss this with the functional manager or the team lead to assign a certain task owner to be responsible for doing the work for this task. We also add the duration. When will we start and when will we end? And this is not just to be the plan for the beginning of the project only. We keep following up on this plan regularly. Every day we're updating the percentage, how much we completed from this task till now. So this is your friend as a project manager. This is your buddy. Every day you open the WBS and make sure that all the tasks are done or the tasks are in progress. And if there anything you need to follow up on, anything that you need to check with the resource responsible for this task, and so on. So in the planning phase, we capitalize on what we had in the initiating phase. So we estimate the needed resources and budget. We will talk about the schedule estimation, resource estimation, cost estimation. And also we determine any needed procurements. If we have some resources, we lack some resources, so we make some procurements. As you know, Vodafone is almost working with 50% in-house and 50% outsourced. I guess last year it was 40% only inshore or in-house, and 60% is offshore or outsourced from other companies. The plan is to replace this or to reciprocate this percentage to have 60% in-house and 40% outsourced. So this is part of your plan for the procurement. Sometimes we make a purchase order for a vendor or a supplier or third party to provide us with business analysts, with testers, with designers, with solution architects. So you need to check your resources and put your plan for how to acquire other resources that is not available for your project. And by resources here, we don't only talk about the human resources. We have also machinery and equipment. If your project needs any facilities, for those who are working, for example, on mobile applications, so you need to have an iPhone to test the iOS version of your mobile app, and you need to have an Android device to test the Android version of your application. So this is a resource for you, a machine or equipment or an instrument or anything, any device you need. If you are working on something related to big data and data science and data analysis, so you need to have access to a workstation or a processing unit where you put or you plug in your big data or the data you would like to process, and then you reserve this lab or this workstation for 4 days, for a week, for 10 days. Take as much as you need for your data processing to finish. So this is a facility or this is a resource you need to take care of. So human power, facilities and equipment and machines, anything can be called as a resource. So sometimes we use the resource for human beings only, but it includes everything else also. In the planning, we make the schedule, we take care of any risks, and the quality assurance and control. We mentioned also the difference between quality assurance and control last time. Can anyone remind me of this? What is the difference between quality assurance and quality control? I hope we can hear someone we didn't hear before. We have around 18 people. Basma answered before. No, Basma.
Okay.
You answered. I want new voices. By the way, I'm not asking for the true or the exact answer. Just share with me your first impression when I ask the question. What is the difference between assurance and control? I don't have grades or anything that I'm testing you against. It's very simple. You can share your first impressions. No worries about any judgment.
Yeah, okay. I can tell you something.
Yes, go ahead, Simon.
No, I'm Nurhan, not Simon.
Okay, I saw that Simona opened her mic. Okay, go ahead, Nurhan.
Okay, I believe that quality assurance is the way we can tell if we are making the work with the right actions. Or but quality control, we can ask ourselves if we are doing the right things. Quality assurance, we are asking if we do the job right. Are we following the policies of our company? Or are we following the way that we discussed before and we are agreed to work with? But quality control is we are controlling the quality of the work that we're working on, the quality of the product that we're working on. That's
okay.
my
So quality control for the product and quality assurance for the process.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Nurhan.
Welcome.
Simona, you wanted to answer?
Yes, I just wanted to say that the quality assurance is mostly focused to prevent some defects, while the control is mainly to identify those defects. So the approach is different. Mainly, the quality assurance is a proactive activity, while the quality control is a reactive activity. So the approach is different and somehow the purpose is different.
Yes. Thank you, Simona. Very good difference between them. Anyone else would like to add to Nurhan and Simona? What do you think of what they said?
I just would like to relate these two terms with the previous terms of the risk and the issue. Let's imagine all the risks that we are facing are bad. So I guess that the quality control is related to the quality assurance is related to deal with to the prevention of these kinds of risks. But if the risk already has occurred, so the quality control is responsible for resolving them, or the reaction for the issues.
Okay. Yeah. We don't connect them in this sense, but yeah, if you can relate to them as Simona and Nurhan were mentioning, that the assurance is proactive and preventive, and control is corrective and reactive. Yeah, from this perspective, we can agree on this. So this table will just summarize what you mentioned. So the assurance focuses on the prevention of the effects, while control focuses on the identification of the effects. So this is reactive. The action already happened and we have to react to it or correct it. On the contrary, the assurance is related to proactivity and prevention. So this is related to the process. In the project, while we're working on quality assurance, we define the KPIs. How will we measure them? When should we measure them? Who is responsible for these measurements? What is the frequency of measurement? So we set the plan on how to make sure or to assure that the quality will be achieved to the extent we need. When we come to the execution side, we find the quality control is focusing on the product, the outcome that comes from this process or this procedure, to what extent it is abiding by or it is following the quality standards we wanted to have. So this is the difference between assurance and control. And again, I'd like to remind you that control is always replaced by compare. If you'd like to remember this, control, compare. So compare, I have two items or two things to compare between, the plan and the actual. While the assurance, I don't replace it with compare. So it is the plan itself. And another shortcut or heuristic in your mind to remind yourself of this. So A comes before C. So assurance comes before control. This is one of the games I play with some people to remind them of which one come at the beginning and which one comes while we're doing the project. Back to the planning phase. One of the major activities or major things you need to care about is making a team-wide alignment for the whole project objectives. It doesn't help for you, the project manager, for you as the project manager, to know everything about the project while your team are not aware of this. No, they need to know everything you know. They need to know the objective, the priorities, the complexities, the complexity in the project. Anything that they need to know, please make them aware of this. Have regular meetings with them, catch-ups or catch-up calls every week or twice a week. Make them aware of all the challenges. They can help. Your role as the project manager is to coordinate the efforts of all of these people. The definition of management and leadership is that one mind is controlling like 10 hands. So you have one mind and two hands, but the team, for example, you have 5 people, so you have 10 hands. So make use of this, and the more you are aligned with them, the more ownership they can provide. They feel they own the project. They feel they have credit in its success. So make sure to align with them all the time. And as we mentioned, you're like the maestro. You don't know how to work on all the devices. They know. So capitalize on their knowledge and make use of what they can do to the project. Moving forward to the executing plan. After we made the plan, let's execute it. So while executing, this is the period or the phase where it takes the most of our time, effort, and money. So we are working on the implementation, resources coordination, and most importantly is the stakeholders engagement. Keep your client engaged. You get what you ask for. Ask them for support. Ask them for input. Ask them for feedback. Don't expect or don't assume. It's better to ask about what they think of the product or what they think of the outcome of the project instead of assuming that they will like it or assuming that they will be okay with this. Ask them all the time, keep them updated, because this guarantees success to your project. The more you communicate, the more you succeed. And we work on the quality management and process improvement. Do you know what is process improvement, or let me say it in another way? Did you hear about Kaizen before? Did you hear a word called Kaizen? Anyone heard about the concept of Kaizen? Okay. So Kaizen is a Japanese word. It is a Japanese word that we can translate in English saying it is continuous improvement. So continuous improvement means we are always trying to improve our process and to improve our work. So this is part of your work as a project manager. During your project, if there is any bottleneck, you can remove any process you can make seamless or streamline. This is something you need to attend for the quality of the work or the outcome of the project. Kaizen has 4 main stages: plan, do, check, act. Put a plan, do the plan, check the results of this plan, and if there is any room for improvement or any space for improvement for the process or something, act on this. And this action may need another plan or a new plan. So you plan, check, you plan, do, check, act, plan, do, check, act. This is a cycle or a loop we do all the time in the project to try to improve our work, to try to improve how we deal with the client. So for example, if I found that the client forgets what we agree upon every time, so I try to have a weekly call with the client. I try to send minutes of meeting, and they are very detailed. I assign actions. I make all the actions in Jira tickets so that we can follow up on them all the time. Improve the process as you go. Sometimes we have to fix the plane while in flight. We can't fix the plane after we before taking off or before going to land or landing. So sometimes you have to fix the plane while in flight, and not fixing the plane because it has an issue, but fixing the plane to secure more funds or to save some time or save effort and so on. So process improvement is very important. It is not part of the project management education, to be honest, but I see it is one of the topics as a project manager you need to learn about. And there are a lot of resources online, and Vodafone is providing us with free access to LinkedIn Learning and other platforms. So learn about process improvement. It's a very interesting topic to read about or to watch courses about. While executing, we need to document all the lessons learned during the project. And the lessons learned here, we need to document everything. If you faced an issue, you tried to fix it by the first solution and it didn't work. You tried to fix it with the second solution, it didn't work. When you tried the third solution, it did work. When you document this issue and the solution, you have to document the 3 ways you wanted to implement, or the 3 solutions you wanted to use to fix this issue. Because as we mentioned, the projects are different or unique by nature. So the third solution fixed your issue or fixed your project. However, this solution might not be applicable to another project, although it will be in the same scope or in the same field, but the context of the new project might require using the first solution better than the third solution. So when you document the 3 and you document why the first solution didn't work for your project and the second solution also didn't work for your project for 1 to 3, but the third solution worked for your project because of 1 to 3, when you implement a new project, when a colleague implements a new project and then they get back to the lessons learned register, they need to attend to the reasons you mentioned, because these reasons might make this solution is the best fit for the new project. So document everything. This saves time and effort for everybody in the team and for yourself if you are having another project or a new project following the same scope or with the same client or something. After that, we go to monitoring and controlling, and I have to say here that monitoring and controlling is not a phase after planning and execution. It's a governing phase for the whole project life cycle. We have people here from the PMO, the project management office. They are here for governance. They govern the projects. They make sure that in the initiating phase, you're using the right documents, you're using the right templates, you're following the right procedures, you're doing what you need to do in the field you're working in, or the department you're working in. All the documents are written or are documented. You filled in the forms in the right way and so on. So it is from initiating till closing, we have monitoring and controlling. So monitoring and controlling is about making review for the project progress and controlling everything, measurement against the plans. So you will ask me, what plans do we have in the initiating phase? So here we're not saying the project plans, but the company plans, the standard operating procedures of the company, the organization process assets. These assets you need to follow, or these assets you need to abide by. So this is the control that will happen in the monitoring and controlling for the initiating phase. So they are caring about corrective and preventive actions to make sure that the project is going as planned. And then we go to the last phase, which is closing. We close the project by getting all the sign-offs from all the teams. For example, we can't release the solution to public or to share the mobile application to the App Store and Play Store before we get sign off from the privacy team, security team, from the testing team, from the release management team. All teams need to sign off the project before we kick off or before we close the project. So you have to secure all sign offs. And if this is related to the client, so you have to get a sign off from the client and to get the last payments to settle any contracts with the client. And in the closing phase, we take much care about documentation. Document everything. You might have some templates or some process improvement, as we mentioned Kaizen a while ago. So if you made any process improvement, document this. I will forget, you will forget, your manager will forget, your colleagues will forget, but documenting this in the SharePoint or the cloud or the drive, you will have everything in. This saves a lot of effort, a lot of time. So save the templates for the PowerPoints, for the Excel sheets you had, for the Word documents you created, for the Microsoft project plans you made. You can use them last time. So repurposing your documents helps a lot. So document everything before you start. And part of the closing is that we prepare the project for the operational environment, operational readiness, because we mentioned that the project is temporary and the operations are ongoing and repetitive. So if you need to create any manuals, any tutorials, to make any trainings for the operations team to be aware of how to operate the system or how to operate the technology or the solution, this is part of your work, so that when you close the project, no one comes back to you and asks for any further details or for any enhancement or any questions related to your project. You will be busy with another project. So close everything by having an operational readiness document or prepare everything for the operational environment. Let's take a quick break here. My time here is 10:55. I guess this is the same time for most of you in Romania also. Let's take 10 minutes break and come back at 11:05, 11:05, or let's take 10 minutes any time region you are in now. See you in 10 minutes. Knock, knock. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm here.
Perfect. So for those who are here, let's get your thumbs up, your reactions. Can you make the reactions here? Yeah. Hey, a lot of thumbs up. This is motivating. I like emojis. Okay. Let's go ahead. Daniel, you're raising your hand as a reaction that you're here, or you have a question?
No, that I'm here.
Okay. Welcome. Okay. Let's proceed. So we're having the 5 phases, or let's call it 4 phases, and a governance phase: initiating, planning, executing, closing, and monitoring and controlling. So let's deep dive in the project management areas, or project management knowledge areas. There are 10 knowledge areas. You don't have to have all of them every time or in all projects. Some projects are not very complex and some projects are easy. You don't have to consider all the 10 knowledge areas, but we will explore them. So we'll explore at least the main items of the knowledge areas. So for your reference, this is the photo we shared in the last session. These are the 10 knowledge areas: the scope, what you will do, and what is excluded from your scope and you will not do. This scope is made into WBS, work breakdown structure, which is the seed for our schedule. So we put the WBS, what activities will be done, who will do them, when, and so on. And these activities cost us money, and this money is there to cover the resources. And if some resources are not available in the company, we work with procurement to procure, rent, or lease these resources. And this sometimes add new stakeholders to the project, because we're dealing with third parties, vendors, suppliers, all the value chain or supply chain we are dealing with. We have communications with these stakeholders. We need to set who will learn what, when, to what depth of information, what is the frequency of communication, and we need to make a balance between transparency and privacy. Who will know everything about the project and who should not know everything about the project? Transparency and privacy. And we have the risks we need to take care of, and the quality of the project. And any change in any of these knowledge areas need to have integration, because if I change the scope, this will affect the schedule, which will incur more costs, and we will need more resources. We might need to make procurements and so on. So any change might affect the other knowledge areas. So for the scope management, we discuss the project charter, or creating the project charter, where we have the initial details about the project, and we have the stakeholders register. Some people prefer to have a risk register at the beginning of the project in the initiating phase, while I think this can be in the planning phase better. So this is the first items in the scope. Simona, go ahead.
One quick question. That project chart that you showed, is it somehow a standard template widely used, or only the content is mandatory and each project manager has the freedom to organize the information and the structure in their own way? Or is it defined at, I don't know, organization level, department level, or how?
Okay.
What is the approach?
Yeah. Yes, this is a very good question, because anything we mention here, this is up to tailoring, customization, and you can edit or amend it to fit your organization. Any project management book you can start reading, first page, they say this. This is just about tooling. You can amend or customize or tailor this to fit your organization and the nature of your projects. So what I'm talking about here, this is the common reference or the typical items. mostly retrieved from the Project Management Institute. This is the widest popular institute or entity in the project management field. They have research, they have surveys, they have textbooks, references, and they have the PMP certification, Project Management Professional, which is the most popular certification for project managers. So I retrieved this from the reference, which is Project Management Institute. For Vodafone, for example, we are following the life cycle of the project provided by the PMI, Project Management Institute. However, we have our own delivery cycle. So we have VBDL, Vodafone Project Delivery Life Cycle. So it's a project delivery life cycle, but customized for Vodafone. For example, in most of the domains we are working on now, our PMO office here in Egypt, for example, they don't use the project charter. They call it demand request document, DRD. It has the same idea, or it has the same elements. As you mentioned, these are the elements or components. You can shape them in different documents or in different titles or templates other than this one. But these are the questions you need to answer at the beginning of your project. For example, Orange Business Services, which is like our counterpart for Orange as a telecom operator. They have Orange Business Services. We have Vodafone and Vodafone Intelligent Solutions. Orange Business Services has a process. They call it Synergy. This is their project delivery life cycle. They have some customization for the documents and the terminology and stuff like this. So to answer your question, this is up to customization and tailoring for each company.
Thank you. Thank you. It's clear.
I like these questions, by the way. If anyone has any thought or anything would like to discuss, this opens our eyes to other perspectives. So please, please do share your questions right away. So we have the stakeholders register as part of the scope management or part of the initiating phase, and we have the initial draft of the work breakdown structure, which gets elaborated more in the schedule management. When we go further with our schedule management, we make the final version of the WBS. The schedule management is there to prevent this photo from happening. So when we have a project and it will be delivered in 6 months, so we know that we will make a kickoff meeting and analysis in June, design in July, and we will be coding or implementing the plan August, September, October, and then we'll release in December. But what actually happens when we don't have good governance or good project managers is that we do everything before the end of the project deadline. So putting a plan prevents this from happening, and putting a very good plan, because sometimes when you don't have a time box or a tight deadline for the project you are working on, people tend to extend their efforts. We don't have to finish this now, we can finish it later, and so on. Simona, this is a common error that happens in teams.
Should I
Yeah.
leave and join again?
Yes, please.
I think it's for all of us. I cannot see it either.
Really?
It's
me
Yes,
me
me too.
either. I can
Yes.
see
Me
it,
too.
yes.
Yes, I didn't share it after the break. Okay, it's my my bad. Thank you, Simona, that you highlighted this because I didn't know. Okay, let me share it. Where is it? There it is. So I kept talking since we came back. It's 10 minutes since we came back from the break, guys. Okay. Here we go. This is the project plan. We try to avoid this, and we try to avoid being letting everything to the last minute to work on. So some bad companies they don't have a plan at all. So this company, for example, they have a plan and they didn't follow the plan. Some companies they don't have a plan, and before the end of the project they make the plan backward, Okay, so you did this. When did you do it? In October? Okay, we added in October. And you, when did you do your activity? In September? Okay, we added in September. Just to document everything for the project management office and submit these documents. So we try our best not to do this and follow the right plan and make controlling or governance for this. So how do we do this? We start the schedule management by defining the activities. We need to make sure all the activities we need to do are there and are documented. And who's responsible for defining these activities? This is my question to you. Who breaks down the whole scope of the project to smaller components or other activities for the team to work on? We have a lot of people here. We didn't hear their voices at all. Amani, Andrea, Christina, Daniel, Hannah, a lot of people. I would like to hear your voice, guys. So share with us, what do you think? Who should define the activities? Is it the project manager? Is it the team? Is it the top management, the client, the PMO, project management office? What do you think? One by one, please. Please, let's take turns. Not everybody to be answering at the same time. Okay, Mahila, go ahead.
That was funny. So usually how it happens in my projects, there are discussed during the PI all the features that are taken into consideration for the respective quarter, let's say. And of course, those are prepared before the PA planning. All the feature with feature familiarization discussed within the project, depending on the budget as well, what it will be chosen to be worked in the respective quarter and so on. And during the PA planning, which has actually the exact purpose to discuss the activities for each team. And everyone is planning based on what they have to do for each feature. That has to be known from the feature familiarization that should take place before that PA planning. So each team actually should have an idea or know the plan for each feature, what they have to do. And based on every team's activity, everyone will be able to plan accordingly with the timelines, with everything, till the go live, from the development part till the go live of that respective enhancement feature. This is how
Okay.
it's happening on my project in the moment.
Yeah.
So
This is very
actually,
interesting. Yeah.
yes, and myself as an SDR, Service Delivery Readiness Manager, I am able to plan my activities based on the other teams as well, as I have mentioned, based on the testing team when they are ready with and the code is in production, based on the service design, they have to have the design for that respective feature ready. And they will have to, after producing the service design, they will have to walk through that design to the right people, to the right stakeholders, and discuss the process, the end-to-end process, what has been enhanced, and so on through that respective feature. And I am, based on these details, I am able to plan my activities accordingly with the timelines, as I said, with everything. What do I have to do for each and one of them?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
So what Mahalia mentioned here is that she doesn't put the activities herself. She has to get these activities from the team because she's not aware of all the departments, all the domains, or the technical aspects of the project. Yeah, she has background in this, but she can't say all the activities and state them or index them from her perspective only. So the project The project manager can't do everything on his own or on her own, as we mentioned, but the project team does. So we do this by having the project team decomposing the scope into smaller activities, and this creates sense of ownership for them because they are the ones who set this activities, and they are the ones who made these deadlines for themselves, and they are the experts. They have subject matter expertise in these fields. I don't have expertise in front end, back end databases. I have in solution architecture, in business analysis, in product ownership, in Scrum Mastery. I can't have all the expertise. Yeah, for someone like having superpowers like me, I have all these knowledge. But for regular project managers, they don't have these powers or this knowledge. So they have to consult their project manager, their project team, to feed them with these inputs and to know from them all the activities they need to know. So the decomposition of the scope into the exact activities, this is the responsibility of the team. As a project manager, I can make work packages or modules, but I can't make the exact activities and their deadlines and the duration they need and the courses they need. I have to ask for estimates from the team members. So this is one of the main questions. If you are pursuing your project management professional certification, you have to face this project, or you have to face this question: who is responsible for creating the WBS? And by responsible here, I have to make a differentiation between responsible and accountable. We discussed this in the module, the first module, the foundation module. So what is the difference between responsible and accountable? Basma made a like, so she remembers this. So I would like to hear from someone else. So what is your guess? What is the difference between responsible and accountable? If we translated them in Arabic, for example, both of them have the same meaning in Arabic. Responsible and accountable are called mas'ool, but they have different responsibility per se. So what do you think?
From my point of view, the person we consider accountable is somehow in charge with the successful delivery of the project end to end. So they are coordinating the main steps, the tasks, the main stakeholders. But this end-to-end process is composed of small pieces, small steps, small tasks, which are assigned to different people. For those tasks, the people are responsible. So they are performing, as you said in the beginning, the project manager doesn't need to know each activity in detail. For example, he's not a, I don't know, software developer or an engineer or something like this, but he's accountable for the end-to-end project successful delivery. And each person, a part of this project, is responsible for the tasks assigned to him or to her to deliver them in time, with good quality, and so on. This is how I see the difference between accountable and responsible, at least from process perspective.
Okay, thank you, Simona, for this. What do you think, Basma? Do you agree with Simona? Do you disagree?
Yes, I agree with her, and I would like to add something else. As you have mentioned in the last session, that the accountable is like the top management person who has a broader responsibility or a broader area of tasks, but the responsible has like somehow more limited responsibilities than him. So, for example, if we are working on some project, yes, of course, the responsible will deal with the team members and to follow the process and the schedules and so on. But when there are like some issues faced, the accountable is the person who we refer to ask.
Okay, yeah. So this is the the difference between them. So as a project manager, I'm accountable for the end-to-end delivery. I'm accountable for everything in the project. If anything went wrong, they will get me to be asked for this. I'm the one who will be charged for anything related to the project. However, I don't do everything myself. I have people responsible for the activities, and I follow up on them all the time. Sometimes I follow up on their accountable counterparts or their accountable managers. So if I have some developers and I get back to their leader, this is the one accountable for their activities. So this is the difference between accountability and responsibility. The project manager is accountable for everything in the project. So here we discuss. Welcome, Hassan. Okay.
Sorry, Muhammad.
No worries. So when we talk about the WBS, as a project manager, I'm accountable for the WBS. However, the team members are the ones responsible for the decomposition and mentioning the activities and the durations needed for each activity and the dependencies between these activities. We call the project managers are the last to eat. So we are accountable for everything. If the project succeeded, we will say it is because of the great team we have. If the project failed, so it is because we are bad project managers. So this is the nature of the title and its authority. Or you're not having big authority on the team because they have their line managers. You're not their line manager, but they report to you the progress of their activities, but their managers are the ones responsible for their appraisals and anything related to their salaries or promotions or and stuff like this. You can just help with this by saying feedback, negative or positive feedback to their managers or so on. So when we start defining activities, back to the slides, when you work on the activities, you sit with different people. You sit with your managers, the top management, the client, different departments at the client side. You sit with the team. You sit with other colleagues who worked with this client before or worked on a similar project before. So you get a lot of activities from here and there. You might collect them in this shape. This is called a mind map. So this is the core of the project. So this is one subheading or heading 1, heading 2, 3, 4, and each heading has the sub activities needed in this. So at least you categorize them. This helps before you put them in WBS. Like this WBS, for example, we have work packages. For example, this work package, this WBS is related to building one building. We're building, for example, a mall or building a villa or something. So we have the substructure, the work that needs to be done under the surface, and we have the superstructure, anything we will see above the ground. So for the underground work, we have excavation and backfilling. We have the concrete work. We have PC foundation, RC foundation, and stuff like this. So at the beginning, as the project manager, I might be aware that we will have these work packages: the underground, the concrete work, the installation work, the insulation work, and all of these. But the exact activities, I have to consult with the team, and they can say the duration they need for each project activity and so on. This is one example of the WBS. This is another example. You have you can make them on Excel sheets, on Google Sheets, Microsoft Sheets. You can make them in Microsoft Project. This is better because Microsoft Project gives you better management for the project plan. However, you can implement some of the features of Microsoft Project on Microsoft Excel by adding some function and so on. So these are the activities, and here I would like to share with you why we use this WBS. Not exactly this one, but I mean, as I discussed with Simona, this is the concept you can implement using any tool you can use. So the uses of the WBS, or why we use it, because we need to make resources allocation and assigning SPOCs, single point of contact, for each activity. these are the people responsible for working on this activity, and they are the ones we will ask for the progress on these activities and so on. We need estimation, as you saw in the WBS. Each activity has the duration of the duration needed for this activity to be achieved, and we can also add another column for the cost. If this activity will incur any costs for the project, we can add this so that we can sum all the durations and sum all of the costs, so we can get the total duration and total cost of the project. And when we need any reports for the project, we can get back to the WBS and check what activities are done and what activities are not finished yet. If some activities are costing us more than expected, so the WBS can show this because it analyzes the cost drivers. And if we are dealing with some suppliers and these suppliers are costing us a lot, so why are they costing us a lot? Should we try other suppliers? Should we change the contract with them, and so on? So, and also it shows us the dependencies between the activities, because we work on defining activities and then we sequence these activities. So when we sequence them, we create relationships between the activities. So for each activity, we have a predecessor and a successor. The predecessor is the activity that needs to be finished before I do my current activity, and then this current activity needs to be done so that the successor activity can start. Not all activities can be done in sequence or can be done right away after each other. Sometimes we can work on these activities in parallel, or by the end of this activity, I can start in the other one. This is the lead time, like in this example here. So I don't have to wait for task A to finish completely before I start task B. No, I can start task B towards the end of task A. On the contrary, some activities need some lag time. I can't start task B right away after task A. I have to wait for some time. For example, you're working in construction, and after you make the first floor and you put the concrete, you can't start the second floor right away. You have to wait for this concrete to be solid, because when we put it, it is in watery substance. So we have to wait till the substance is very hard, so that we can build upon this activity. We can say this for some activities. For example, if you finish the development and deployment, so you finish the development, but the deployment and release will not occur till the weekend, because we will have till Friday evening, so that we can release the code, or we can release the new features on the system, because we don't want to work on this while in the work days. We need to wait till the weekend, so that the employees are not using the system we're making an upgrade to. So you have to wait till the next week for the developed feature to be released to the system, and then you can work on the next actions that are dependent on these activities. You get what I mean? So lag time, we have to wait for some activities to finish before we start or we go further with some other activities. This waiting time can differ from project to another. So we have different types of dependencies for our projects. Some dependencies are mandatory dependencies, and we have to abide by them. We can't jeopardize this. We can't negotiate this. We have to wait for these activities to be finished before we can go forward. So these dependencies are called mandatory dependencies. These dependencies are mandatory because they are having some legal elements we need to follow, or they have some hard logic. So like for the concrete work I mentioned, or for the release that will be done during the weekend and so on. So these are called hard logic or hard dependencies. We can't negotiate them. However, we have also discretionary dependencies. These ones we can negotiate. So we call this as soft logic, because they are based on our best practice and our expertise. no one can blame us if we didn't do this or if we did this. So we are the ones who can decide if we can proceed with this or not. Other dependencies are internal and others are external. So some dependencies are external because of the government, because of regulations, because of some internal policies or procedures for the client, while others are internal to the project team or internal to the PMO of the company. They are the ones who stated these dependencies between the projects. So it's some dependencies you need to abide by, but they are not mandatory for you. These dependencies can be shown in a graphical way. So this graphical way can be called activities network diagram. In this diagram, for example, we can see that the project is having multiple activities, and these activities, I don't have to check the WBS and like an Excel sheet or rows after each other to know what activity will be done after one, after which activity, and so on. But I can check this in a visual aided manner, or this graphical solution. This helps a lot. So as you can see in this graph, activity D, for example, cannot start until activity C is done. Activity G cannot start until activity F is done, and so on. And I can see that we can't reach the end until the 3 streams are done. So if this stream is done already and finalized, but this one is not yet and this one is not yet, so I can say I finished my project. I have to wait for all of the 3 streams to be finished. So this visual representation helps in understanding how the project is going, and you don't create this visual representation by hand. You create it through the tool you are using. If you're using, for example, the Microsoft project, you just click a button and it creates this for you from the WBS you already worked on. Now we talked about the activities definition and activities sequencing. Anyone has any questions so far? All is good? So show me some interactions, likes, hearts, clapping, to know that you're here. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I know some people don't like to join or participate a lot, or they are in the office, they have some noise around or something, but I just want to make sure that you're with us and you understand this. Someone wanted to say something? I hear some. Okay. Okay. So the next item on the list is estimating the activity duration. And as we mentioned, this is one of the responsibilities of the team. I don't set the durations myself as the project manager. I have to consult with them. However, I can participate to this, or I can support on this, and I can coordinate this based on multiple items. One of which is knowing the resources calendars. I know one of the team members is going to get married by a couple of months, so he or she will take some time off for the honeymoon. I know someone is having a baby soon, so they might have a maternity leave or a paternity leave. I know someone is going for the summer travel or something, so they plan their calendars ahead. I know we have this machine or this equipment or this piece of an instrument we need to have. It is booked for another project, or it is booked for something, or it needs some maintenance. So when I know the calendars of the resources I have, this helps a lot in estimating the activities durations and if there are any dependencies between them. Another point is the resources requirements. If I need certain knowledge or skills or experience or seniority level for the team I will be working with, this is something I need to take to put into consideration. If I know that I need a certain machine with the latest version of the technology or some processing abilities that is not available in the machines I have for now. So I have to take care of the resources requirements as part of my resources planning. Another point here is that I can revert back to my expert knowledge. So this is called expert judgment. It can be myself because I have subject matter expertise in this field, or it can be referring to my manager, to my colleagues, to project management office, to anyone in the organization that can support me in this. So this is called expert judgment, to know the duration I need for some activities. Again, I will not set this duration myself. I will have to ask the team. But I have to know this knowledge or this pieces of information for myself to negotiate with the team, because some team members, you know, they tell you, okay, this task will take me 15 days, while you know that they can finish it in 10 days. But they are bluffing. They need to take some days extra and to work with at ease or something. So when you know that this activity needs only 10 days, you can negotiate with them. You can challenge their estimate. You can tell them, no, this activity, we did it before and it took us only 9 days. Why is it taking more time this in this project? So they tell you, okay, but the last time it was a preset module we wanted to have. Yes, Simona, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. It's just one comment, not a question. From my point of view, what you are saying is true. In the case when this team member who needs to solve this task is fully assigned to this project, and you know that the task usually takes 10 days. It's valid in this case. But for example, if we have I don't know, a software developer who is working in parallel in 3 or 5 projects, and he has the deliverables for each project, I think it's more difficult to evaluate the time or to negotiate with him that, like you said, no, I know this takes 10 days, not 15. So I think it depends.
Yeah, as I mentioned, everything here is tailorized or dependable based on the context we're having. So what I'm saying is applicable if you're talking to a supplier or a dedicated team member in your team. But if it is a shared resource and working on multiple projects in parallel, so you have to negotiate this with their manager for giving some priority to your project or something, or you have to take the estimation or the duration they set for you. But there is always some room for negotiation, either with the developer or with their functional manager or technical lead. So this is why I'm mentioning you need to have background about the expected duration for this task or this activity. So moving forward with this, as we mentioned, we have the durations, and we can negotiate with the team and so on based on expert judgment myself or others. Another way to think of this durations, we can say it is analogous estimating. Analogy. I make analogy between previous projects or historical projects, historical data we worked on before, and the new project we are working on now. So these projects we decide on. The last project took us, for example, this activity 10 days, as I mentioned, and now you are saying it is 15 days. No, we can't make this 15 days, and so on. So I make this based on historical data. However, this is very rough estimate. This is not very accurate. Why? Because I say this activity was done before in 10 days. It needs to be done now in 10 days. I didn't take into account all the variables and all the attributes that is around this project or around this certain activity, because this activity now might have new technology. This activity might be new to us. We're integrating one domain with 5 domains. Last time we integrated one domain with one domain only. So I don't say this is an integration activity. It takes 10 days and that's it. I have to take into account other variables. So when we talk about analogous estimating here, we find that it is less costly in terms of time and effort and money. We didn't make any surveys, we didn't make long meetings and stuff like this, so it is not time consuming. However, it is less accurate because I didn't take into account everything. So I have to make sure that I know this piece of information before I can go forward with the estimation I'm making. So we might think of another estimating technique, which is called parametric estimation. So parametric estimation is more accurate than analogous estimating because I try to attach this estimate to a certain parameter, a certain variable in an equation or something. So last time when we integrated one domain with one domain, it took us, for example, 2 days. So if I want to integrate with 3 domains, it will take us 3 multiplied by 2. It is 6 days instead of 2 days. This is the parameter, for example. So if the team is working on 10 features for the new platform, it will take them, for example, 10 weeks. So if they are working for the new project, they are working on 15 features, so it will take them 15 weeks because I attached the estimate or the estimation I'm working on with a certain variable or a certain element that I can change or I can plug in other numbers in. So this gives better estimates for the project we are working on, and it is best not the best because the exact estimation I will get at the end will be from the team. It will not be myself. It will not be the previous or historical data only, because some stuff changed over time. And by the way, I'm not talking here about estimates for the timeline and schedule only. I'm also referring to the cost estimates. So sometimes I say this activity cost made us or charged us a certain amount of money last time, and now it will be charging us the same amount. But we have inflations, we have global economical crisis, we have some challenges for the industry. Vodafone has to lay off people because of this, for example, this economical situation. So I can say this activity cost charged me, for example, £1 million last year. So it will be costing me the same £1 million this year. It might be higher. So I refer back to historical data to learn from. We learn from the past and we plan for the future. However, this is just as a reference, not as exact amounts for time and effort and money. So this is for the estimation part. Any questions related to this part? Okay. Thank you, Basma. Okay, so when I make this estimate, I have to write down my thinking procedure, the items based on which I created this estimate. Because when I go to my manager and tell him or her, okay, this project will take 9 months from us, the manager will say, no, 9 months is a lot. How come we have to deliver this in only 6 months? So I have to tell them why I came to the conclusion or how I came to this conclusion that the project will take us 9 months. Based on the number of resources, based on the calendar days and the bank holidays we will face, based on the scope of the work needed, the number of features. If I made this estimate based on analogous estimating or parametric estimating, I tell them how I derive this estimate, and I tell them, okay, we can negotiate on this. Okay, this 9 months can be 7 months, but it can be 6. Based on what? You will give me more resources. you will prioritize this project for the developers team. As Simona was mentioning, the developers are working on other projects in parallel. So you will prioritize this project for them, all of them to be dedicated only to my project for this time. And then the other projects, the other projects they are working on can be delayed, and so on. So when I have the basis of estimate, this helps me in negotiating with the customer, in negotiating with the top management and everybody in the team. So I document any assumptions I made. I document any constraints, any calendar or limitations in terms of any feast or any governmental activities that will block our work days or something, any national activities, and so on. Going back to the visual representation of the WBS, we have a very important tool we need to discuss, but this tool or this topic needs very good attention because we'll be talking about something critical. We will be talking about the critical path method. So before I get into this part, I would like you to have a break. If you'd like to drink something or get anything to any snack to eat while we're discussing this, go ahead and let's meet after 9 minutes from now. Let's meet at 12. See you in 9 minutes. Get yourself a break. Don't be in front of your computer. Move your body. See you. Here we go. Ready for the last part of the session? If you're here, show us some love. Show us a heart. Oh, that's my. Okay, best of luck. I didn't see any hearts, people. Where are you? If you're here, click the heart reaction. Yeah, Simona's here. Thank you. Andrea. Thank you. Okay. So let's keep going with our presentation. We'll be talking about the critical path method. Anyone heard about the critical path method before? Or if you have any guess based on the presentation, you can see the presentation. I didn't stop the sharing this time. What do you think of the critical path method? Your first impressions, your guess, if you'd like to say anything.
The fastest way to deliver the project.
Fastest
I'd
way
say.
to deliver the project. Okay, thank you, Simona. Good guess. Any other guesses? Anyone? You're leaving the mic to Simona all the time. The queen of the session. She answers all the questions. Anyone would like to compete with her on the title? No one would like to compete. Okay, they are all defeated, Simona. Okay, so Simona is the queen of the session, guys. No one would like to share any guesses except for her. Okay, let me share with you what is the critical path method. It is not the shortest time. On the contrary, it's the longest time for the project delivery. So, for example, we have a very simple project here. This project is working on 3 streams. So these 3 streams, for example, this is the design stream, this is the marketing stream, and this is the development stream. So in the first activity, we will be doing some design planning for 1 day, and then we will create the design for 2 days. For the marketing activity, we will just make the copyright or the description of the social media post we will create. And this is our promise to our clients when we add in the copyright or the description of the post. We mentioned already the features, so we will be working on these features also before we announce everything to the public audience. So we'll be working on the development front end and back end. This is a hypothetical project for sure. We can finish such a project in just 4 days. So if we went along with this example, what is the total duration of this project based on the numbers or the durations of the activities as shown on the screen? What is the total duration of the project? What do you think? The total duration of the project. Any guesses, people? You can write in the chat if you can't open your mic for now. No one can guess? Okay, Hannah, exactly. This is the right answer. The total duration is the 4 days, because this is the critical path method or the critical path for the project, because we are now moving forward with the project with Andrea mentioned 4 days. Yes, exactly, because these are 3 streams in parallel. I don't need to sum all the numbers here. So I don't sum all of these and then I say it's 7 days. No, it is 4 days only, because we are following this stream. This is the longest stream, the longest path. In parallel with this path, we are having already the other path running, and it will take only 3 days. So why do we call this as the critical path? Because we will tell our client, for example, that we will deliver after 4 days. So if any activity on this path was delayed for any reason, this will put us in a critical situation with the client. So this is a critical path because anything that will be delayed on this critical path will affect the whole project delivery deadline. On the contrary, the other paths or the other streamlines, for example, this activity, if it took 2 days, no worries, very okay for us. Nothing bad will happen because this will be 2 days and this will be 2 days. So the total is 4 days, which is still less than the 4 days we agreed upon with the client. So the critical path method is the longest stream or the longest path, and it is the one that we pay the greatest attention to, because any activity on this path, if it will get delayed, it will delay the delivery of the whole project. To make sure you got it right, I will share with you another example, and I would like you to tell me what is the critical path method or the critical path for this project. You can raise your hand and talk to me, or you can write the letters of the critical path. Is it BC? Is it A? Is it ADE? What do you think? What is the critical path for this project? Go ahead, Andrea.
I think it's ADE, the critical path.
ADE. Okay. Why do you think it is ADE?
It is the longest one.
It is the longest one. So you define the critical path by the longest duration. Right?
Yes, and it also has 3 steps.
Okay, so if it had
It's
only
more-
2 steps, it will not be a critical path?
Not sure.
we don't care about the number of steps or number of tasks on the critical path. We care only about the duration. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay. Let me go with you one step further. So you mentioned this is the critical path. How about this? This is not critical. The BC path.
It's shorter. No.
It is shorter. Okay. So what is the total duration of this project?
9 days.
Okay. So if I asked you to delay the task B, I'm your part of your team, and I told you I will not be able to finish it in 2 days. I will have to finish it in 3 days. Will you accept this, or you will tell me no, I have to deliver it in 2 days because it will affect the deadline?
I think it would be okay to delay 1 day.
Why wouldn't this affect the delivery date you agreed upon with the client?
Well, it's 9 days we agreed upon, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here, following the path BC, it's just 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we would be allowed for 3 days flexibility maximum.
Yes. This is a very good rationale. Thank you. So
thank you.
You answered it correct. So
thank you.
Why I challenged Andrea for this? Because this is how the critical path goes. So the critical path, the activities on the critical path cannot be delayed even for 1 day. But the path, the non-critical path, the activities on it can be delayed. It's okay because this has 6 days while this has 9 days. So we have 3 days difference. So any activity here can be delayed up to 3 days maximum, and this will not affect the end date or the delivery deadline we agreed upon with the client. So when I ask you in the interview about what is the critical path method, you can define it by the longest duration. It doesn't have anything to do with the number of tasks on this path. Maybe it has the lowest number of tasks, but these tasks are taking the longest durations. So it doesn't have anything to do with the number of tasks, but the durations of these tasks. This is the first item. And you mentioned that the activities on the critical path are the ones that will take the most attention from my side as a project manager to closely follow up on them, so that I make sure no delays or no challenges or no obstacles can face these activities. Any question so far on this critical path before I take one more step with you on the critical path and I share with you another example and I ask you for the critical path? So this time it was easy. This is highlighted in red and this is highlighted in green. Next time it will not be highlighted in red. Any questions or should we proceed? Okay, thank you, Marwan. Thank you, Simona. Let's proceed. Who's ready to answer this one? What is the critical path for this project? So Andrea was okay. Andrea was raising her hand from the past, the previous example. So no one is raising now. Who will tell us the critical path for this example? The comments, we have ACF from Simona. Simona said ACF. What do you think, guys? Is it ACF or something else? Andrea is backing you up, Simona, and she said it is ACF too. Okay. Anyone would like to agree or disagree with the ladies? Okay, Marwan is agreeing with you, so 3 votes till now for the ACF. Anyone has any other opinions about the critical path here? Okay, seems not. So yes, I'd like to congratulate you. It is ACF because this is the longest path, and any other activities here have lower duration for the total path or the total stream of activities. And so, or based on this, these activities, for example, BED, can be delayed for some time. How can we know the exact time or the float? We call it float or buffer. This is the time we can make use of, or we can delay the activities based on these durations. We compare this by the subtracting the duration. For example, here BE is 4 and 2. This is 6 weeks, and this is 7 weeks. The critical path ACF is 7 weeks. So we have 1 extra week we can play with or we can make use of so that we can delay, for example, activity E. Instead of taking 2 weeks, we can make it 3 weeks. To make it clear for you also, these activities A, B, C, this is just dummy variables or name for the activity. But for you, when you make this activity network diagram, you will be having the name of the activities because you created this or you added the names already in the WBS, and then you asked the tool to create the visual for you or the network diagram for you. So you will be having this as activity for design, activity for analysis, activity for research and development, and so on. If you got the concept of critical path method and you understood it, So I'd like to clap for you all. And you have to be proud of yourself because this is not an easy concept in project management. And this is something you got or you already understood. So be proud of yourself and the step you took forward in your project management knowledge. This is one of the topics we ask about in interviews, by the way. So congratulations, you understood it. So I would take you forward with some other concepts in schedule management. It is called schedule compression. I'd like you to check this photo and tell me what do you understand from this photo. What do you get? So the schedule was 15 days. We will finish the work or these 3 tasks in 15 days. Now they are 11 or 10 if we applied fast tracking or crashing. What do you understand from this illustration?
I can say for the normal is more flexible because the duration is long.
Okay. So the normal
Fast tracking and crashing, we can take most risks or delay task.
okay, because it is compressed, so we don't have much time to delay. We have
With
to do
high risk
everything.
and high cost.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you, Amani, for this. Anyone would like to agree or disagree with this? Would like to add another point of view here?
You need to describe this image.
Yes.
Is this the
Go
answer
ahead.
you are looking for?
Yes, please. Give me your impression of this illustration. What do you understand from it? Explain it to us.
In my opinion, the normal track is very obvious. We are going, each one of those people are going to finish their work in sequence. In the first tracking, they are going to, there is an overlap between the work. I mean, they are going to undergo some work in parallel. In the final one, they are going to compress or use some advanced any tools or pay for something to make it to compress the time at which their tasks should take. The time of their task, the time their task should take. This is, in my opinion, what I see from this.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Hussam. Marwan, I think you wanted to mention something here.
Yeah, it was very similar to what Hussam was saying. Yani, the normal schedule, I was going to say it's the normal part, no extra risk or no cost. The last one was yani, high cost because we like doubled the working effort or doubled the number of people working on it. So we shortened the time. However, it's more costly. The fast tracking one is high risk because there may be dependencies between the tasks, and overlapping them may cause some issues or problems because, for example, if I'm developing something, then I'm testing it. If I'm starting testing the software while developing it, it may test something and then something changes and stuff like that. So that's why it's a high risk.
Yes, thank you for the examples. Okay, so as you mentioned, Amani, Hussam, Marwan, this is the normal plan, or we agreed upon this schedule from the beginning. And then when I went to my client, so the client said, no, I can't accept this. You will be finishing after 15 days. I need to finish this at after 11 days maximum. So I gave the client 2 options. You can compress the schedule, but pay me extra. So I will get more resources, more developers, more testers, more analysts to work on the project. So instead of one resource working on this activity for 5 days and one resource working on this activity for 5 days and so on, I will get 2 people working on the first activity, so they will finish it in 3 days, and 2 resources working on the second activity, so they will finish it in 4 days and so on. So this is an option. You can't get everything in life. If you would like to compress the schedule, pay me extra money, but you can't pay the same low cost and then you compress the schedule. No one gets everything. So you have to pay me cost. So I get more resources, or I make the resources I have work extra hours or overtime. I make them work during their weekends. I make them work another shift or one more shift. So all of this will incur more salaries or higher costs. So crashing starts with C and cost starts with C. So I connect them. Always crashing gets high costs or higher costs than expected from the beginning. While fast tracking doesn't incur new costs or further costs, it imposes to us higher risks because you are working now in parallel. So, for example, you are developing something and you were waiting for the privacy or cybersecurity or a privacy team or some compliance activities to be finished so that you can proceed with the development of the project. And now you started working on the project or the development before you get the sign off from the security team, for example. So they might ask you to change some features or change some user stories or something in the project. So you have already finished in the 7th day and the 8th day, you finish some development, and then they finish their approval or compliance review by the day 8, and then they ask you, no, come back and do rework to the activities you did in 7 and 8. So this incurs rework, and this might extend the schedule at the end. So you made some work and then you rework on it again. This might extend the schedule and might also extend the budget and makes you pay extra. So there is a higher risk when you do fast tracking, but sometimes we have to do it. For example, you are developing a mobile application. It has, for example, 20 screens. You know, each mobile app has multiple screens. After you make the sign in, you go to the order page, and when you choose, for example, if you're using Uber, so you choose your pickup point, your drop off point in the next screen, you choose the type of car in the next screen, and then you place your order in the 4th screen or something. So each mobile application has multiple user interfaces or screens. So if we expected this is the design work and then this is the development work, so we tell the design team, we will not wait till you finish the 20 user screens. Just when you finish 5 screens, give it to the development team to start coding. Finish the second 5 screens and then give it to the development team to start coding, and so on. So we started working in parallel instead of working in sequence. However, when the design team was working on the screen number 12, for example, they found that they need to edit something in screen number 3 because they need to add a button in screen number 3 so that it can direct to screen number 12. So they will go back and edit it, and they ask the development team to rework on screen number 3 again after they finished working on it. So this is the risk of making a fast track, but sometimes you have to take the risk and you have to proceed with this. If you can't make crashing because you don't have extra costs, you go with working some activities in parallel, and this imposes an extra cost for you. So this is the last thing we will talk about in the schedule management part, and schedule management and cost management are very close to each other because we talk about the estimation. The same estimation techniques are related to cost and schedule, and we talked about the estimation. We get it from the team, not from the project manager. This is true or correct for both the cost and schedule, and everything is very similar between them both. One thing I will add for the cost part is the cost of quality. What do you think of cost of quality? What does it mean for you? So I will show you the two examples here, or the 2 points here. What do you understand from this slide? What is the cost of quality for you? How can you define it, or how can you relate it to what we're talking about here?
So I think the cost of conformance is the cost for applying the quality assurance procedures or the quality control, as mentioned in the slide, training and documenting and testing and stuff like that. The cost of non-conformance is the cost that I can or possibly pay if I don't follow the quality assurance techniques, or if the quality of the project is affected, or the product is delayed because of stuff like that. So it's the cost of missing out on the deadlines or the requirements because of not following the quality assurance or quality control methods. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Marwan. Simona, you wanted to add something?
Pretty much it was the same idea.
Yeah, okay. So, as you mentioned, it is related to quality conformance and quality non-conformance. So, for quality conformance, for example, we have the development team. Do we have to get testing engineers to test the code? Okay, we already created the code. Why do we need to test it? Let's release it right away. No, but we have to pay for testers and have a testing team to work with us on the testing of the whole features before we release them. So this is part of the cost of quality for us. If we need to train the team on some activities, or train the team on some knowledge to acquire some skills for the work they are working on, this is part of our cost of quality. And sometimes we have something called destructive testing. Can you guess what is destructive testing? Anyone can guess this? It is not in the software industry. It is more in other materialistic industries, not software.
Maybe trying to enforce failures on the components that we're using, stuff like that.
Enforce failure. That's a very good expression. Okay, thank you, Marwan. Hussam, what do you think?
Nice answer, Muhammad. I mean, Muhammad Marwan. I was going to say the same.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So it's about making your product, exposing it to failure. So, for example, if you're manufacturing a car and this car is very expensive, it is, for example, it costs you £3 million. And this car, you need to make sure that it will be abiding by the quality of the company and the quality of the country. So you make some simulations on your laptop, or the IoT systems and digital twin and all of these technologies, and make simulations. If this car hit a concrete wall, what will happen? Will the airbag be working well? Will the man or the woman in this car, will they be massively injured, or everything will be okay? You make some simulations on the laptop, but at the end you have to get a couple of cars, a couple of these very expensive cars, and make them run or be driven in a very high speed, and then you smash them in a concrete wall and see what will happen in the car. And you can put a dummy, or put somebody on the wheelchair, or some on the driver chair, and see what will happen to this dummy, or to this mannequin or something. So this is called destructive testing. We have to go through this sometimes, because if we didn't do this, we will pay this later, because this is like a debt. If you get a loan from a bank, you have to pay this loan, and the later you pay, the more the payment is, because they add on your installments, they add interest. So try to pay your debt as early as possible, because if you didn't, you will face some penalties, you will face some legal suits, because your car, the car you manufactured, injured other people or caused multiple accidents and so on. And this happened, by the way, to car manufacturers. So you have to avoid this, and instead of pulling all the cars from the market and then paying fines or paying the liabilities you have to pay to the users and so on. And sometimes you have rework. If you are building a building and you didn't put good materials in this building and you didn't serve it well, so after you build 5 floors, you find that the basics of the building are not working well, and the building is about to fall down. So you will have to destroy the whole building again and remove all the scrap, all the things that after you blow up this building, you have to remove all the ashes and then rebuild again. So this is called rework and scrap, cost of non-conformance. This is one thing you need to pay much attention to while working on your project. Another thing I'd like to talk to you about here is quality management. It is related to the quality conformance. So if we faced any problem in the project, we try to find the root cause of this problem. We don't just jump ahead and fix the problem right away, because there are some elements related to the problem we need to fix first in order to fix the disease, not the symptoms of the disease. So we try to look for the root cause of the problem, not the symptoms or the branches of this problem. So always in any problem or in any issue or any risk you will be facing in your project, try to look for the root cause, not the symptoms of the problem you're facing. And to find the root cause, we try to categorize all the reasons or the possible reasons for this cause or this effect. We try to make them in affinity diagrams. We try to categorize the resources of this defect or this problem so that we can divide and conquer, you know, when you have categories. So I will make more focus on this category till I make sure that the potential reason is not coming from this category, and then I go to another category and so on. To make this categorization, we have something called fishbone diagram. It has multiple names actually: fishbone diagram, Ishikawa diagram, cause and effect diagram, YY diagram. All of these names are for the same diagram or for the same representation, which is like the fishbone of the bones or the structure of a fish. So at the head of the fish, we put the effect or the problem or the risk or the issue we're facing, and on the fishbone we can put the reasons of these effects or the reasons of this problem. So for example, we have this product quality not matching the requirements. So this is the problem we're facing, or this is the issue. So the potential reasons can include equipment, process, people, material, environment, management, can include multiple themes or multiple reasons. So when I divide them and I address them one by one, I can reach the conclusion or I can reach the solution easier than just going to do everything at once. To remember these 6 categories, sometimes we call them 6M. 6M, so they are 6 categories or 6 potential reasons. All of them start with the letter M. So management is the management body. Environment, we call it medium instead of environment. Material is the raw materials we're using. And instead of people, we use manpower. So manpower is the people, the workers or the engineers working on the process. And the process, we call it method. if you are that using a certain technology or a certain methodology we're working with. So this is method or methodology, and equipment, we call it machines. So to remember the 6 categories here, you can call it 6M. So this is the potential reasons for any problem. After we get this root cause of the project or of the problem, we proceed with the scientific method of fixing any problem. I guess most of us studied this at school sometime, maybe in primary school or something. So this is the steps of managing any problem or any defect you want to fix. You start by defining the problem. First thing is to know what is the exact wording or description or the problem statement, because maybe the client comes to you and says, okay, the website is not working. The platform you created for us is not working. Is not working. This is not a good problem statement, because it might have multiple reasons for not being not working. Or not working, you mean because it is giving you a black screen, or it is misbehaving, you're expecting a certain outcome and it doesn't give you this outcome, or it is taking much time to load because of the big database and the small server you took or you reserved or the license you got. It is not working with you but working with your colleague because you don't have access and he has access. It is not working because you didn't renew your subscription for the domain or for the server or for something. It is not working because your battery is dead. Because so the problem can have multiple descriptions. So I want to define the problem exactly and get the problem statement so that I can work on it. After I get this, for example, I'll share with you a very funny item here. I was working before Vodafone on a project to digitalize the governmental sector here in Egypt. So, you know, governmental workers most probably don't want digitalization because they feel that digital transformation will replace them, so they will be jobless. And some people take, you know, bribes. So if there is a computer, they will not be taking any bribes. So one of the workers called us and said, "The system you implemented here is not working. You're a failure," and so on. So when we came to the office and we tried to tell him to do many things, okay, click here or click there, he says, "No, it is giving me a black screen only. I can't work on anything." When we went to the office, guess what? We found that he didn't plug in the electricity plug, so the computer was not working. And he says, okay, the system is not working. It is not my problem, it's your problem. See? So sometimes you meet people with strange problems. If you didn't face this before, so thank God you didn't face these people. Your life is easier than mine. So after we define the problem, we try to identify the root cause through the fishbone diagram, and then we set and generate possible solutions. Multiple minds is better than one mind. Sit with your team and make a brainstorming session. And you know, the brainstorming sessions have some etiquette. You can't judge any idea that is generated. We don't evaluate any ideas at the beginning because the mind has two functions, and the mind can do one task at a time. It is either idea generation or idea evaluation. I can't do both. I can only do one of them at a time. So now no one evaluates or judges any ideas. We will all say our ideas and we will write them on the board or on our digital board or something. And after we all run out of ideas, let's evaluate. So each one would say, no, this idea, I don't think it is a good one because 1, 2, 3, the process will not allow this, the PMO will not allow this, the policy, and so on. So we exclude some ideas, but even the bad ideas can sometimes illuminate an idea or a bulb here for another one. Someone else might get inspired by the bad idea. in some sense. So after we generate the solutions, we choose the best solution, and then we implement it. Good project managers stop at the fifth step, and that's it for them. But the best project managers, which are you in the future, after moving to project management, you will move to the sixth step here, which is verifying the solution effectiveness. It's not just about implementing any solution. We need to make sure that this solution really it did solve the problem. It did eliminate the root cause of the problem. So we will not face this problem again in the future. Not after 2 weeks we face the same problem again. So we didn't do anything good in this case. So try your best to verify any solution you create. Make sure that it solved the problem for real. It didn't just make the problem go away for a couple of days and that's it. So this was for the quality management part. I would like to tell you thank you so much for your presence today. If you have any questions, this is your time. Any question for anything we discussed today, go ahead.
Mahmoud, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Hussein.
Thank you, Muhammad. I have a question, Muhammad. Regarding the last point, if there are a problem, okay, and the solution was not effective, how the project manager will handle this point?
We get back in the loop again and we define the problem, we get the root cause and so on. If you run out of solutions and you can't do anything for this, report all what you did and escalate this to your manager or ask a colleague. So always you get what you ask for. Ask your team members, ask your colleagues, ask your manager. Yeah, ask for support all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amani. I can see Hussam raising your hand. Go ahead.
So you can hear me or not? Because I was going to ask you about one thing. Back in the beginning of the session, we were mentioning different stages in the project management. And I would like to hear from your experience how product management would fit the activities, in particular project management, would fit in what stage in the project management process.
You're mentioning something related to the process or the phases, but I didn't get it. The voice is breaking somehow. Can you repeat it?
Asking you, you can hear me well now, right?
I can hear. I have some hardship, but I can hear some. Yeah.
Don't know. It's the problem. I'm working at Smart. Don't know why it's breaking. Anyway, I'm going to keep talking, and you tell me if there is a problem. Still a problem. I will write in the chat box.
Okay.
I was asking you about the different activities in product management. How they would fit in the product management system.
So you're asking about the difference between project and product management, correct?
Okay, you can say so.
Yes, project and the product management, correct?
Yes, how they are related. Yes, this one, perfect.
Yeah. So the product manager is looking for the product roadmap. This is a very strategic thing, where we are now, where we would like to go, and how we will go to it. So the product manager is always concerned about research and development, looking for the direct competitors in his or her country and looking about the indirect competitors and the global competitors, what other people working in the same industry doing in other markets. So if you are talking about the telecom operations, so Vodafone is working in Europe and Africa and Middle East. So what are our competitors doing, for example, in the Americas, or what other people are doing in China? So they are not direct competitors to Vodafone, but we would like to check what are their best practices and implement them in our work. So we're looking as a product manager, looking for growth, expanding our market share, expanding the number of our users. So I'm always looking for how I can make a fit between my product and the market. The market is the users. And all of this is product management. To do anything to improve my product and add features and enhance the user experience, I go back to my project management team and ask them for these deliverables. So the project manager is concerned about the delivery, what should be delivered. The product manager is thinking long term, while the project manager is thinking short term. So here you're looking for research and development. I'm looking for work breakdown structure. Tell me what you want. I will work on resources coordination to submit what you need from me. I'm including here the operational readiness, how to be ready, my project to be ready for the operations team or service delivery team. And the product manager is including the operational excellence. The product manager is always looking how to perfect their product or service with their clients or the end users. I hope this answered your question.
It's very nice, simple.
Thank you, Hassan. So they are working hand in hand, and no one is senior to the other, or no one is reporting to the other. They are supporting each other. Okay. So yes.
I have one last comment about the previous topic, not the last one that you presented, about the cost involved in ensuring the conformity or fixing the non-conformity. I'm not aware if it's possible to estimate the amount of each cost, or I don't know, statistics or something like that. But my personal opinion would be that it's better to invest in the cost of conformance rather than fixing the non-conformance, because this can have an impact on the future, let's say, image of the company. For example, if it's a company selling cars and they are releasing from the factory some cars with significant defects, and the buyers, potential buyers learn about this, it's possible that in the future their sale will decrease and so on. So it has a wider impact also on the image of the company. And so I don't know, what is your opinion on this?
Yes, this is very correct. When we assess any issue or any risk, we categorize this by sometimes brand risk or reputation risk. And this is something not easily to be fixed. So the purpose of this screen or this screenshot is to direct you to pay much attention to cost of conformance, because if you didn't, you will have to pay the same costs for non-conformance. I'm not giving you options here to choose to pay for non-conformance or to pay for conformance. I'm just showing you the consequences of not paying or affording the cost of conformance. I totally agree with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Any other questions? You can reach me at any time for sure. I'm a message away. Thank you, Amin.
Thank you so much.
I'm a message away if anyone needed any thing or needed any clarification on this. Very happy to support. That's it. See you next month for the Agile Project Management workshop. We'll be talking about agility and Scrum framework and what is the Agile Manifesto and the principles and values of Agile. Hope to see you all next session. Till then, have my best wishes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.